Hi everybody, Beaverworx Diecastracing here. A little bit of a race shop vid here about adding weight. I got a couple, usually have to pick up a 10-pack these days to find really cool old muscle castings that are just cheap enough to work on. So here's a couple of 10-pack Camaros of the high school dreamies, right? Camaros with 28. It says 1982. It looks like about an 82. So I'm in with these guys. Love it. So here's the original one out of the 10-pack. I haven't got my finishing paint job set up done, so I haven't really been doing any paint job and exterior work yet. But that's definitely in the future. But what I have been doing is experimenting with different ways of adding weight. Now, so far, just because I haven't tried any yet, I haven't got any tungsten. I haven't tried any of the tungsten blocks. I've heard that it doesn't shape very well. So, instead, my weapon of choice is lead. And now this guy, who's the same one, is the original one. Well, and then you got this guy, and I haven't sealed him up and finished him yet, but he is loaded. Watch this. There we go. That's the inside. Now that's all the little bits and pieces that I've had lying around and cut off of other little bits, and I make sure I put it all down with 2-part epoxy. And that's what the axles are actually original. I didn't change them out, which is something I should have done afterwards. Not changed them out, but at least got them out and put a polish into them, because I've learned about polishing axles is a very good thing to do. Now, the cool thing about this one is the bottom. And there's the nice thing about lead. That you can flatten that, you can shape it, you can pound it. And you don't need, you can use heat and you can use everything else like that, but a little piece of good sandpaper and a hammer and you can pound lead into whatever shape you need it to go into, and then you just cut it into different pieces with side cutters. Works really well. So I loaded this guy up. This is one of my earlier jobs that I did, and this casting, you usually got to put that windshield drop and then drop this guy back down. So what I'm going to do to finish this up is, you see on the back there, I'm going to, file that down. File the sides down so that you can't really see it too visibly from the profiles. And then paint it all black and matched up. And then, all of a sudden, you got yourself a sleeper car. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'll put the body down with glue, some epoxy, just about 4 spots, so you can break the glue. And eventually, I might strip the paint, or I'm learning how to do water slide decals and print them. So I might just add badging and remove the paint in a couple of spots. All right. Now, after learning all I did off of this guy, and from the Superbird challenge, I've been building on this guy right here, the Roger Dodger. And this guy I introduced earlier on in a quick little couple of pics, and we called it the Demon Dodger. Yeah, this guy, I had to, if you go out to the stores these days, they have this one. You can find it, and it's the gray top with the black base. Now, so it's not a black base, because what there is also out there is there's this black version, and I just used a little bit of nail polish remover and took all the steampunk stuff off of it and took it down to the straight flat black. But it has this ugly ass orange or green or whatever that is base on it, which is kind of a trash color. I guess if it's an art car, it's okay. So all I did was I got the one here with the black base, cut the base out of it, swapped it out with the orange base, and put the black base in this one. So that way you get a nice black grill front end, black bumper back end. And here's what I did for the weight in this one. Again, not quite put together. Now this one, I put the FTEs into, and those are polished axles, so they spin nice. Now this one I did something a little bit different because I actually added weight to the insert as well. Roger Dodger always got this big old Hemi there, and it's got a hollow spot in the middle of it. So I took my Dremel, rounded out that hollow spot a little bit more, and decided to cram it full of lead. So it's weighted right over top of the axle. And there was a little space in between at the back there on the rear axle, so I decided to add a chunk of weight inside there as well. Look at that. All right. And then on the main body, this time, instead of hammering it flat and just sticking it to the bottom like I did with this one I actually cut the whole body out. I didn't cut it out, I cut the section out in the middle and was able to lower that weight down just subtly below the build line, get it as low as possible. And you can see my axle tubes here too. Same thing, I use 2-part epoxy on plastic. You can see it on in there, I guess. Get the light on it. There's the axle tube. The axle tube is, you can find it. There's a stock number. Yeah, 1/16 by 0.014. And there's the stock number. That's the tubing I use for sleeving. Works pretty good. And then stacked a bunch in the middle. My important things I always like to do is get weight in front and behind that axle. I got the chunk inside the front there, chunk on the back, chunk on the back, chunk on the front. And even when you flip this one over, I even added and pounded in shape, just like I did on the other one, some weight on the front and on the back here. Kind of looks like a big old fuel cell hanging out the bottom. And again, once I paint that all up black and sand down the corners a little bit more, finish it up, it's going to look pretty sweet. Both of these guys are going to be mail outs. I'm not sure which track or where they're going, and I'd like to get some badging set up for them so that they can all know that it's from Beaverworx Diecast Racing. I even got inside there and did some touch-up work inside that Hemi just for fun. That was more like with a Sharpie. It wasn't really with the paint or anything. So there's a couple of little different methods on weighing down vehicles, and the other thing I liked about the weight that I added on the Roger Dodger here is that it's still low enough that you can still see a majority of the interior. I'll put the windscreen back in it when I finish it up. But there she is, the Demon Dodger. All right, there's another one there. I know another project that you guys might have seen in some of the background shots of the videos lately is this big old bad boy. And this is a work in progress. All right, here's the carriers. Now, we've all seen this one when it came out, and it had that weird angle. This guy was all sloped down, and it didn't make any sense. I guess it might have existed in that configuration, but it just didn't seem very practical. So I hacked it up a little bit and did this to it. So I've still got to come back and do some finish work on all the edges, hide it all. This was just to get the structure and make it look cool. But that's what you can do with the Ford Carrier to make it look a little bit more realistic, huh? Nothing wrong with a little bit of realism. All right. Okay. One other thing put down for a quick mention is this is going to be my next project right here, and it's going to be all the same stops I was doing with the Demon Dodger. Now, I've already took the liberty of cutting this one out, but I'm not going to put the FTEs in this one. I'm going to leave the originals, and I'm going to just polish the axles. Do what I can to make it look... Do what I can to make it nice and fast. Cut the bottom out. And do the same. Add the weight right through the bottom. Because this thing is sitting amazingly low as it is. And for curved track, like we do on the fat track here, you need that. You need that low weight. You need a good wide stance so they can hold the corners. This guy's nice and wide. And what a cool casting. I even like the color. The color's nice green. An Australian version Ford Falcon. Love it. All right. So that's what's going on at the shop. I'll put up a couple more videos when I finish these two guys up. And hope you enjoy it. All right. Thanks.